Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for Euro 2020 fantasy football content. My name is Dan and today I've got for you a buy, sell, keep, avoid episode for match day 4. Yes, we are at the halfway point now in Euro fantasy, so hopefully guys, by now you got yourself some quite nice little ranks there. You've got some nice ranks, you're winning your mini leagues, but can we push it a little bit further with some good transfers? I certainly think so. That's what this video is going to be all about, making those right transfer moves. So guys, if you do enjoy what you see today, please do like the video. It helps the channel out so much. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here as well. And by the way, on that note, guys, thank you for 60,000 subscribers. Another excellent milestone. Thank you so much, guys. We march on to hopefully 100k at some point or another. But guys, I've talked enough. Let's talk about the rules of the video. Buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in. Sells are players you probably have and should consider removing. Keeps are players you probably have but you might be thinking about removing them. I think you should keep them. And finally, avoids are players you probably don't have. Maybe you're thinking about bringing them in, but I'm here to tell you maybe you should actually avoid them. Now, this is where the Euro game gets a little bit tricky, and this is kind of the last round where major points will be easy to come by. After this round, you may struggle to move your rank up and down, which is why this week, the round of 16, the match day 4, is so important. So if you've spent all of your chips, this is going to mean we're going to be building a team for the long term. Not only do we need to look at this week's fixtures, but we also got to look at who is my team going to play next? What are these players going to play if they get through to the next round? Are they even going to get through to the next round? How good is their route to the final? And if you've kind of used all your free trips, you kind of got 3 free transfers to use next round. So you've got to make this one count. You want 12 of your 15 players. You want them to qualify for the next round if you want a full squad. Otherwise, you're going to be in a bit of trouble there. So let's build a strong squad with some good transfers and avoid those bad bandwagons. So let's start you off with a buy, and I've got for you Georginio Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum is one of, if not the first name on my personal buy list. Now, going into this tournament, many of us were worried about the position he would play within the Netherlands' new 3-5-2 system. And as it turns out, he's playing just behind the strikers in a very attacking role. Now, we knew he was the star man before, but what about now? From the games we have seen, we know that he is given so much freedom within the box in, an incredibly attacking Netherlands team. We thought Depay was going to be the talisman, and whilst that is true to an extent, Wijnaldum is also a keen man in that attack. Always around the box, always in the box, 3.3 shots per game, 3 goals in 3 matches, a couple of key passes too. And the advantage of Wijnaldum as a midfielder is that he gets an extra point per goal and also a point for a clean sheet. Now, we didn't expect much in terms of clean sheets from Netherlands at the start, but they've actually kept 2 in the last 2 now. And Wijnaldum, as a player who plays 90 minutes every single game, has picked up those clean sheet points as well. So Netherlands also arguably, I say arguably, this is my opinion, I think they have the most favourable route to the final of any team in the whole competition remaining. It looks really good because physically they cannot face Italy, they cannot face Belgium, they cannot face Portugal, they cannot face Spain, they cannot face France at all between now and the final, because they've just got the amazing side of the draw kind of thing. The toughest possible game that the Netherlands can possibly play is against England or Germany, and even that can't happen until the semi-final either. So yeah, the fixture against Czech Republic, that's a very good one that they've got this week. Czech Republic, they're kind of the lowest ranked international team in the whole competition remaining. So they're like, if you want to look objective, you want to look at the FIFA rankings, you can't get a better fixture than this in terms of the last 16. And they're actually the worst out on FIFA ranking by some margin as well. And in the quarterfinals, they will face one of Wales or Denmark. They have to play one of those teams. So for that reason, it's kind of time to load up on those Netherlands players. And where better to start than the absolute international beast that is Wijnaldum. My next buy is Benjamin Pavard, another player who has looked good and attacking, much like many other fullbacks. These are the kind of defenders we want to get, right? So Pavard is actually turning out to look like a little bit more of a creative fullback than Hernandez on the other side, and for 0.5 million cheaper as well. He's put in 5 crosses so far to Hernandez's 2. He seems more nailed on with Digne, an option at left back as well. There's far less competition at right back, and there has been for years with France. He is yet to take a shot in the competition, but that's actually kind of odd for him. Usually he will take about 0.6 shots per game for France. This could improve with their narrow France formation, I guess. Remember, he only has had a chance to play in 2 games so far due to his unfortunate concussion. Now, is Pavard up there with, you know, Spinazzola, Dumfries, Meunier, etc.? Probably not, but what Pavard has as his huge advantage is that he plays for France, one of the favourites of the tournament, likely to go very far in this tournament even if they don't win it. And although there are some tough fixtures ahead that may actually lend themselves, to be fair, to more clean sheets, as games are less open, they're more tight, they're more, you know, a little bit closed off, there could actually be more clean sheets for France in the future. That could be quite nice for France in the future, but right now, the next fixture is Switzerland, and looking at clean sheet odds, no team has a higher chance of keeping a clean sheet in matchday 4 than France. So Pavard could be the one to go for, or if you're feeling really stingy, maybe Kimpembe, he's there too, but don't expect any attacking returns from Kimpembe. Pavard, on the other hand, yeah, nice. Onto some sales, we'll start you off with Kylian Mbappe. Now, as much as I've just hyped up France kind of thing right now, they probably haven't looked as good as we expected. I would still back them to an extent just because they're France, but what I wouldn't do is overcommit on France just because they're France. And Mbappe is an example of a player that requires a lot of commitment in order to put him into your fantasy team. So firstly, he's a forward. There are only 3 slots for your forwards, and there are so many forward options that we would probably love to have in our team. You know, Ronaldo, Lukaku, Depay, Immobile, Kane, you know, Morata and Moreno from Spain, Yaremchuk from Ukraine, you know, Griezmann and Benzema at France as well. So I could kind of go on and on. There are so many forwards that are really, really interesting to us, and it seems like most of the best players for scoring you fantasy points are forwards. So that's going to mean that you're going to have to choose very wisely, and in that sense, there might not be room for Mbappe. And the other factor is price. Ronaldo is now increased to 12.2 million, but 12 million is the biggest starting price on the game. That is Mbappe's current price, and that is a hell of a lot of money to pay for a player whose only points so far this tournament have come from winning a penalty. That's it, just 2 points out, you know, outside of those points you get just for being on the pitch, just for playing, he's only got 2 points. That's really not very good. And although that may surprise us a little bit, it's actually kind of reflective of Mbappe's long-term return rate for France, which could be a lot better when you compare it to some of the other forwards in international football. Mbappe's record for France is not actually amazing. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not like amazing wow. So, you know, playing in a 3-man strike force also means the goals are shared between him, Benzema, Griezmann, and if France beats Switzerland, they're likely to play Spain next as well. And honestly, for an entire 2 million cheaper, I feel like Benzema has actually genuinely been more threatening, especially when you consider penalty duty as well. Maybe that's going to Griezmann now. We're not 100% sure on that. I think Griezmann is the deciding factor on penalties. He gave the last penalty to Benzema, but maybe Griezmann wants the next one. We're not totally sure, but Mbappe is probably not going to be a guy on penalties as well. So all in all, I just think it's time to remove Mbappe from our teams. My next sell is Thomas Meunier. Hopefully this will be a reasonably quick one. So you guys know I'm a massive fan of those attacking fullbacks at this tournament. Meunier is definitely someone who fits that bill and plays for one of the favourites of the tournament to go very far. But the biggest advantage of an attacking fullback, those defenders, is that they can also get you those 4 points for the clean sheets. That's always on the cards as well. And whilst I think Belgium will go through, they do face some of the best attackers in world football on that journey. They start off with a nightmare fixture against Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal, if there is such thing as a group of death in the last round, and then surely this is the round of 16 fixture of death, right? And it gets worse. If Belgium beat Portugal, they will have to probably face Italy next. And if they beat Italy somehow, they will have to play maybe France next or Spain next. So bear in mind that this is kind of all before they've even got to the final. They've got to play all of these super tough teams before they've even reached the final. So Belgium have a horrible route, arguably the worst route to the final of any team in the competition, and I think clean sheets are gonna be hard to come by, and over the course of several games, goals might be hard to come by as well, unless you're a top goal scoring player. Now Meunier is not a top goal scoring player, but you know who is. Romelu Lukaku. Now, how about that for a segue? Straight from Belgium to Belgium on a keep this time. Now, I know Lukaku is going to be at the top of a lot of people's sell list. You know, you're going to want to sell him because he was playing Portugal. That's a tough game, right? Which is why I've put him on my keep list in this video, to try and convince you guys maybe to give him a chance. Now, we have seen before this tournament, during this tournament, whenever, that Lukaku for Belgium is literally one of the best goal scorers in world football. Like, seriously, you cannot underestimate how insane Lukaku is as a goal scorer for Belgium. You know, we've seen he's 3-3 at the tournament. You can see on screen right now, guys, his record all time. But it's not just that. He holds the ball up well. He creates chances and space for his other teammates. Honestly, he's a joy to watch. There may be some arguments about him at club level. I know, you know, he's been fantastic for Inter, but some people might remember his days at Manchester United and may not be fully convinced by Lukaku because of that. But for Belgium, he's just the absolute goal-scoring GOAT. Portugal, on the other hand, have been kind of meh, particularly in defence. They've conceded 6 goals in the group stages, an average, you know, 2 goals conceded per game. That's not great. Only Slovakia, North Macedonia, Russia, and Turkey have a worse defensive record than that in the competition. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys. That's not exactly great company, is it, in terms of defenses? So, without a doubt, Lukaku can easily, I say can, it is possible for Lukaku to score multiple goals against Portugal. If you think genuinely that Lukaku can only really score a maximum of 1, fair enough, sell him. But I think he can easily score 2, and if he scored 3, obviously it's very unlikely, but I wouldn't be totally surprised. I really wouldn't be totally surprised. It's something that he has in his locker. It's something that is possible. And that's kind of what we're looking at. We're looking at possibilities with these kind of expensive players. What is the maximum they could get out of a game? And if you think it's maximum of, oh, you know, 1 goal, absolute tops, then fair enough. Don't go for Lukaku. But I think, you know, his ceiling is a little bit higher than that to me. And for that reason, I think you've got to keep Lukaku at least until the inevitable Italy game. Anyway. My next keep is Robin Gosens. I'm not saying Gosens is a must-buy or anything. He's a good player to have for the remainder of the tournament, but not an absolute must-have. That's why he's not a buy, he's more of a keep. Now, a lot of you guys will be concerned about Germany's fixture against England, particularly those of you who are in England, who I'm probably going to offend right now, but guys, this is fantasy football. I have people kind of from all around the world watching these videos, so I have to try and be objective as possible and help people get results rather than, you know, playing favourites with particular nations. As much as I would love to do that, can't really do that, I'm afraid. So I'm going to try and be very objective, and as far as I see it, England are somewhat lacking in ways of attack. We've scored just 2 goals, the lowest ever total for a group-topping team in the Euros, and this is a very favourable group that England had been drawn against as well. Some of the lowest ranked teams in the tournament, and yet only 2 goals. Not even really looking particularly threatening. There is every chance that Germany could kind of keep a clean sheet against England. There's every chance that Germany could beat England as well. And if they do, it opens them up with a really nice route to the final. Sweden or Ukraine in the quarterfinals, then probably Netherlands in the semis. Whoever wins out of England and Germany, basically, you're probably going to want to load up on those players because they've got a really nice route to the final. And if it's going to be Germany, the defence would be a good place to start in this match day. Just if you want to start loading up now on some players between England and Germany, Germany's defence would be a pretty good place to start. You know, just because, like, the defence for England, they're kind of a defensive team. They sit back a little bit. They don't give up too many chances. So the attacking players are probably not going to have too much joy against England. They are going to sit back. They're probably going to look to counter-attack. So betting on a clean sheet for Germany rather than any specific goal scorer in the Germany team, you know, Havertz or Gnabry or whatever, it's probably going to be a better bet to go for a defensive player in the round of 16 game against England. On to some avoids the time of the video that upsets everyone. But I'll try and give my reasoning the best as possible. You can see already on screen, I'm starting off with Manuel Locatelli. Now, Locatelli had an amazing game in Matchday 2. He really did. 2 good goals, man of the match performance. He plays for a team that we have all admired in this tournament, really, and Italy could be in it for the long haul. He also comes in at just 5.7 million. That sounds like a lot to love, right? And I get it. I do understand. These are the reasons I've included a player like Locatelli on the avoid list, because he's kind of a player that seems like a must buy, but actually there's a lot more that meets the eye here. So this is just my opinion and why I personally will be avoiding Locatelli in my team. Firstly, the 2 goals in that game were incredibly abnormal for Locatelli. I understand that his role may have changed in this Italy team. Previously, for Italy, he'd actually only scored once, so he's tripled his goal scoring record for Italy in one game. So that's kind of how abnormal it is. 1 in 11 games prior to this one. And at club level, over the past 2 seasons, he's managed just 4 goals in 68 games. That, I think we'll all agree, that's a pretty bad goal-scoring record. And it's not his job, to be fair. I'm not criticising him for not scoring enough goals. It's not his job. It's quite literally not his role in the team. Now, I'm not saying things can't be changed if he's deployed differently, but there isn't a particularly rich history here to back up what we saw in Matchday 2. Secondly, I feel like his place in the team may be under threat. Italy play with a 3-man midfield. They have Jorginho at the base, and then they have Barella and Locatelli just ahead. Okay, so now where does Verratti fit in now that he's fit? Where does he go? Well, he most likely goes in ahead of Locatelli. So Locatelli is typically more of a defensive player. He would usually act as a backup to Jorginho, but the two slightly more advanced central midfield roles, which would more likely be Barella and Verratti. Those are the 2 preferred players in the 2 more advanced roles in that midfield 3. I'm not saying Locatelli won't start again. I'm not saying that he's never going to play again. He's you know, I'm not saying that Barella and Verratti and Jorginho start ahead of him every single game. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I'm sure Locatelli will get another start or 2 between now and the end of the tournament. He may even have played his way into preference. But to say he's nailed on would just be incorrect. He is a rotation risk, and I cannot promise anyone that he will play on any given match day. It could happen. He could be playing every single game, but we can't make any guarantees about that now that Verratti is back. So for that reason, Locatelli is an avoid for me. And finally, on avoids, we've got Aymeric Laporte. Okay, this one will be short, so don't get confused too much by Laporte's big haul last match day. A goal and a clean sheet is great, but it's not particularly reflective of Laporte's point scoring potential. So in 9 out of 10 games, Laporte doesn't score. He doesn't score a single goal, and his ceiling, therefore, in 9 out of 10 games is going to be capped at 6 points if Spain keep a clean sheet. Now, that's great and all, but as I keep saying, go for a fullback. Now, Jordi Alba is the same price as Laporte and offers consistent, predictable attacking ability. He has 2 assists in the competition already, and he just looks like the better of the 2 picks for the same price. So if you're going to go for Laporte, if Laporte's in your team right now, I think that's a really, really easy switch for you to just go for Jordi Alba. Just trust me, guys. Just go for the attacking fullback. I really think that's what you want to be doing here. So, in conclusion, guys, if you've used all your chips, remember, you're picking a team for multiple match days, not just this one. So, do keep an eye on the future. Try and pick from teams you think will go far in the tournament. Have a look at the fixture tree and see which teams are going to potentially face which teams in the future. Netherlands, I think, are a really good bet. Italy, I think, are a good bet. The winner out of England and Germany, they're going to be a good bet as well. Now, points and differentials are going to be hard to come by soon. So, make this week count. This is your final week to make a big move. After that, you'll probably still be able to make little moves, but this will be your final chance to make some big moves. So make it count, guys. You got this. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy what you saw today, please do like it, and of course subscribe if you're new as well. I really appreciate that as we march on to 100,000. I don't know when it's going to happen. Months, years, who knows? Hopefully months. That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, thank you for all your support recently, guys. It's been really, really amazing. We've got a few videos coming up. So we've got my team selection video tomorrow, where I'm going to reveal what my final score was and what my rank is right now. Like I said, it's improved a lot, so hopefully you guys will be following me along with the transfers and stuff, and you're reaping the rewards as well. So looking forward to sharing that with you guys. And then of course we're going to be doing a deadline stream on Saturday as well, in the hour running up to the Euro transfer deadline. So look forward to that, guys. Hope to see you there on both of those. And aside from that, I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.